Okay, so today's lecture is about quality control. How many of you have bought a product and the quality didn't work? Hands up. Hands up if you thought, oh, this is a waste of time to take back. It happens a lot now. Because you go back, then you go wait for service and do lots of things. The transaction costs are getting fixed, just drives you crazy. So sometimes it turns you off buying quality goods in the first place. You think, well, I'll just buy a cheaper one because it's only going to work for 12 months and they'll be upgraded anyway. Today's lecture is about a number of things. I want to draw your attention to a few things today. One is, let me just turn that off for a moment. We can go to another one, watch another video very quickly. You all know Mattel. How many of you have heard of Mattel? Hello? You had toys when you were a kid? Okay. Mattel makes the dolls, toys, all sorts of things. And there was a problem with lead in the paint from Mattel. Today, you're going to look at a framework where you'll know that this type of cost is one type of quality cost, but it's not another type. It's an external quality cost. So today you're going to learn about how to categorize different quality costs. Let's have a look at another example. Let's have a look at another example. That was a bad piano, that one. This is what happens if you have a bad product. You hire this person here. He will look after your quality. He will look after you. And you can trust him to take your claim to the person, to the factory, the company that you bought the product from. Put your hand up if you have had a defective good. Put your hand up. And something goes wrong, you cut yourself or injured yourself, put your hand up. That's happened. You need this person here. Okay? He will take your money, he will take your problem and sue the company on your behalf and then take 1/3 in compensation. That's what they do. That's what they do in the US. So you are looked after. You've got these people, their job is to find you. You've been injured with a bad quality product, you go to them, they will look after you. They will take your claim and sue the manufacturer and take 1/3. Okay? So don't forget, when you have a problem, 314-421-HELP. Don't forget to call that number and they will look after you. How many of you would like that as an option? Okay, so what we're doing today is about quality control. There are a number of issues we want to consider. But before I go any further, I just want to introduce... Let's go... There's some more details there of Macau, the concerns, the lead paint in the toys, very important. Okay, how many of you have heard of Mattel again? You've seen that stamp? Okay, that brand name was associated with lead paint and that's been linked to problems in the human body that the scientists have found in the US. Okay, and they talk about fatigue, uneasy stomach, poor appetite, weight loss. Put your hand up if you've had any of these symptoms. Put your hand up if you had symptoms like this. Anyone have a poor appetite in the last 12 months? No? Anyone have any weight loss in the last 12 months? What about uneasy stomach? Okay, I can see that, especially before you come to my lecture. Understand. What about headaches? Anyone have headaches? Especially after my lecture, I understand. All right, so that could be caused by the lead in the paint of the products that you are using now. So watch out. Be careful about what you buy. What about Sony products? Well, they made batteries that caught fire. Did you know that? That they made batteries? What about cars? Even cars catch fire. Did you know that? That happens. Cars really catch fire, so be careful when you buy a car. The whole emphasis on quality is so critical today. Even when customers are trying to find suppliers in China, it's not just low cost anymore. It's quality is a huge demand on suppliers in China. I'm going to talk about another real quality problem that happened, but just as I want to take a short break, I want to introduce to you Carmen. Carmen, you stand up. Come on. Oh, come on. All right, now, Carmen was in the first semester 2010-11 class and had the grand opportunity to present the PQI case. Put your hand up if you know the PQI case. Okay, and so Carmen's group actually executed the PQI case presentation. Fantastic. How long did it take to prepare, Carmen?
A few weeks.
A few weeks?
Yeah.
Right, so it took a few weeks to prepare. How many were there's 6 in your group, right?
I think 5.
5 in your group.
6.
Come out the front for a minute. Come out the front.
6.
6?
6 of us.
6 of you?
Yeah.
All right, and so what was the most difficult part of preparing?
Well, at the very beginning, I think the case is a bit complicated. It's about balance scorecard, and then so we actually had a difficult time to sort out what's going on with the case and what's expected from you and from the students. And then we also know that you want a really special style of presentation, so we had we spent some time on how to have a good and impressive presentation to the class. Yeah.
Okay. And who had the idea of some of the group members walking to the back of the class?
Yeah.
Whose idea was that? Was that yours?
Not really. Maybe actually we talked, and then we think that, and after talking to you, so you really have to go find the teacher for help because he really gives very good advice for the presentation. So we talked to Dr. Connor, and then we talked, and then we find out that a more interactive style would be great, and because the case is a bit complicated, so we come up with the idea that we have to go into the class and talk with them, and then teach the student how to work out the balance scorecard. Okay. So this is how the idea came out.
Wonderful. Carmen, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Give Carmen a hand. Okay. So Carmen's got a busy schedule for interviews and final year commitment, so thanks so much again, Carmen. And I just saw Carmen in the lift coming down and asked her to come across, so very nice of her to come and join for 5 minutes. All right, so you know what to do, don't you? Okay, so and they did execute a very good case presentation, so thanks to Carmen for that. Today's lecture is about quality. I've made a short video that will be available on YouTube hopefully early next week, so you can look at that for part of your revision process. It's the big picture. Look, no matter what you read in your textbook, no matter what we talk about balanced scorecard, the most important thing that CEOs care about more than anything else is what the financial statements are saying, what signal the financial measures are giving to them. Because they care about the profit, they care about the balance sheet, they care about the quarterly report. No matter how much we say about the balanced scorecard is good for the organisation, the C managers, we're talking about CFO, CEO, CIO, or any other senior manager, care most about the financials. So today, you're going to learn, I'm going to tell you how to prepare a quality statement in that has that financial emphasis in 4 important categories. Okay, so there are 2 things you can learn today. One is the minimum learning. Okay, C, you get a C if you know how to prepare a quality financial statement. Okay, you can get a B or A level is when you see the big picture and you understand the place that each type of measure has in the big picture. Okay, so there's two things. There's the big picture, and I want you, that will take some reflection and what is really going on in the real world, but then there's the mechanics and the calculations you do for the tutorial. Okay, so let's just keep those big two things in mind. Part of the big picture, I apologise if we've got funny noises going on here. Part of the big picture is as follows. This is real. This is real. What do I mean by, let me just turn, this is real. And what I mean is, this is what happened to my flat back in 2007. Okay? If you have a close look, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see, if you have a closer look, and it's probably not clear, these floorboards were like this. Okay, they started to warp 1 year after we moved in. And what we found was there was a leak in one of the pipes. And over 12 months, the water just seeped through the whole floor, because the whole floor is cement. So that it doesn't go through the cement really, it just sits there. And then it just soaks up all the wood. And what happens when wood gets soaked with water? It bends. And so the first thing we noticed was, oh, we've got lovely ripples in our house. It's wonderful. After 12 months, the house keeps changing. What a wonderful investment. All right. So we pull this apart. This is under the kitchen, and we're looking at here. There's all water around here, but there's no holes. And we're thinking, what is going on here? And so we have to look a little bit further. We pull the fridge out, and we look behind the fridge where they screwed a hole holding in the fridge cabinet, and they drilled too far in and actually drilled right into the pipe, and then screwed the screw in holding the fridge cabinet in behind. So by screwing the screw of the fridge cabinet into the pipe, it actually slowed down the leak, so it wasn't discovered. It was very slow. This is real. It would have been better if the hole was there and then this water just gushed out, and then we can fix it very easily. Okay, so let's see. So what we had to do in April 2007, we have to move out, and don't worry about the beautiful view we have, but look at the nasty view. That's all the floorboards just come out. This is what a unit really looks like before you pay, you know, your $6–7 million for your unit. And we have to match the wood for replacement. So we have to compare one wood. There's the new wood and there's the old wood. And we kept on complaining that, oh, hang on, the wood is not the same. And then they say, well, hang on, we can't get the same wood anymore. Well, we said, you just got to try better. So we're matching all the woods, see if the wood, you're talking about 300 or 400 pieces of wood. All right, and it took several weekends of doing that. Then they put the wood back in. Look, that doesn't look like the original wood, does it? It's very light and colourful. So that was June 2007. Wrong colour. That was original, and that's the new one. So we told them, no, pull it up again. Pull it up again. And then we had to go through and select the wood one by one. Okay, and then finally we could move back in October 2007. So that was a fantastic example of quality control. So the moral of the story is, before you buy a flat, have a quality surveyor to look at the unit. Okay, that's very important, a quality surveyor. Okay, how many of you buy milk formula? Anyone? Okay, you don't have kids yet? Fine, that's all right. So what happened here? You know what happened here? Then I put melamine in the milk formula so that they could make more of the same and then make more profits. And then they found out, of course, the toxic milk. So there's a lot of examples I've just given you. I've just given you some examples about problems of quality. And for most of us, we think, oh, that just happens to other people and it just becomes a news item and it won't happen to you. But we all pay for bad quality somewhere along the value chain. So one day when you're an accountant and you're working in an organisation, yes, you need to be ethical, but you need to have that quality focus. That quality focus. And you also need to know, well, if you're trying to put some quality initiative in place in the organisation, in the factory, how do you convince senior management, how do you convince them to invest the money? Do you just go and knock on the door? Excuse me, we need to put this initiative in place. We need to have all this control gear so we can get feedback on how the machines are doing with respect to quality, with respect to consistency of their performance. And the CEO might say, well, how much is that going to cost? Well, you know, 200,000, 300,000. Well, okay, what are the benefits? I don't know. We just need it. We just need good quality. You can't just go to a C manager and say, we need to do this, give us the money. You need to go with a proper financial statement. Say, here are the costs, here are the benefits. If we take this option, here are the costs and benefits. If we do this option, here are the costs and benefits. So today's talk and the content of the textbook for this week is about that. How do you actually put a report together so you convince the C managers to do something about quality? You all agree quality is important, right? Do you agree with that? Yes? No? Okay. So, just now that you agree with that, here we have our lesson plan, and so take one, pass around. Take one, pass around. Thank you so much. And so, we're going to focus on competing on quality this week. Next week, we're focusing on competing on time. How do you compete on time? We're going to focus on that. That's very important. Why quality and time? Yeah. So what I ask you to do is take one page and pass around. There's only one page that you need to have. Okay. So we compete on quality and time, and quality and time-based competition, they're the critical parts of competitive strategy. There are the learning outcomes, and without going through one by one, here is the big picture. We've got total quality management here, continual improvement and the elimination of waste are the two foundation principles that govern the state of manufacturing excellence. Okay? So it's very important to manufacture quality products. If you don't manufacture quality products, it affects the brand image, it affects you in so many ways. Actually, it does affect you, because just last week I gave a talk to a group of accountants about how important the brand image is to attracting employees, to attracting you. You want to work for a good quality organisation. So it's not just you want customers to come to your organisation, you want people to work for you. Okay? So, continual improvement, manufacture perfect products. Okay. It was Halloween when I first designed this slide. Understand, please. Okay. So, we want to compete on quality. We want to define it, we want to measure it and use it. But ultimately, what do we want to do? We just want to get the attention of senior management. How do we do that? We need to have a report that's really financial based. Okay, but I'm going to tell you about the non-financial measures anyway. Okay, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to convince management, and you need financials to do that convincing. All right. Before we measure quality, we need to first understand conformance quality and design quality. All right. Conformance is actually, does the product conform to engineered specifications? Design quality is related to what the customer expects. So they're two different things. That's why companies have focus groups, to actually make sure they get alignment of the design quality. Okay. Maybe Apple didn't care that too much. They just thought, well, our design, what we think the customers want, we're going to lead them. We don't think the customers know what they want. We think they don't need a stylist, so we're just going to run with that. We're not going to have focus groups to tell us whether we just use your hands or a stylist or not. And so there are some companies out there that will lead what the customers want. Volkswagen is another example. They think that they don't believe that their customers know what they see in a good car. until that car is made. So then going to focus groups is not going to give them market intelligence about what is a good car, what is a bad car. Okay, so there's companies out there that really don't care about what customers think because they feel as though they have the technological edge to actually push the boundaries that customers can't even consider. Okay, I'll give you one example. Google is planning to release a product near the end of this year where you have your iPhone equivalent in your glasses. Okay. All right, so hands up if you're interested in that. Would you buy that product? Wow. Okay, you wouldn't be allowed to wear it in my lecture, okay? All right, so read that out, check it out, all right? So can you imagine a focus group? Oh, tell us what would you like in your glasses? You know, just getting that feedback. So there's a lot of things happening in the technological space, and that's, you know, does the company drive what the customer thinks they want? The customer customer expectation. In many ways, in a lot of technological products in consumer electronics, that is happening, okay? There's less reliance on focus groups for what's going on. No matter where the customer is driving the design or the company is driving the functions, companies still have to apply to conformance quality. That is, engineered specifications say that here are the standards, minimum standards of quality. If a product doesn't meet that, then we're not going to ship it. Okay. So let's. We know the scorecard. How many of you have heard of the balanced scorecard? Put your hand up. Yes, you've all seen. That's great. So now here is learning objective 1, and what is the purpose of knowing how to do a report where you have prevention costs, appraisal costs, and internal failure costs and external failure costs. What is the purpose of that? So you can get the attention of who? That's all. That's all you're doing, okay? There's nothing non-financial in this report. This is a financial report. So you go to the senior manager with this report and say, look, we need to focus money on an initiative to improve our conformance quality. And here's what will happen if you don't, in financial terms. Then they'll listen. And then it's more likely they'll listen to you and then do what you want for your initiative. Okay? So here's the definition of the different categories. And what you're required to do at a C level, of understanding, is if I give you a whole range of quality costs, you need to be able to put it into those 4 categories. Okay? So here you are. Here are the costs. Can you put them into the 4 categories? And so we'll talk about opportunity costs in a minute. We'll come back to that. But here's an example that we go through. Have you got this example in front of you? Have you got this example? Great. So with this example, we want to calculate the ratio of each cost of quality. Then we want to ask the question, has Coston's quality program been successful? And number 3, how might you estimate the opportunity costs of not implementing the quality improvement program? All right. So part 1, minimum knowledge you need is to actually make a cost of quality statement. Okay, so there's prevention, appraisal, internal failure, external failure. Which is the worst, do you think? Put your hand up if you think it's external failure. Is that very bad? Yes, it is. That's when the lawyers get involved. That's when your brand name gets tarnished. Okay, no matter who's to blame. Okay, you can only go one way when there's an external failure. Okay. So there's an example where Toyota sued one of the PCB laminate suppliers. They provide the laminates to the dashboard module that went into one of their cars. That item was only about $8 US, but they got sued for $250,000 because there was a problem. They traced back a problem with the car back to that laminate. Okay, and so we talked to these suppliers and we said, why don't you have insurance? And you know what the response of the Chinese supplier was? Oh, that's a good idea. We'll make a note of that. We should have that. Okay. Seriously, they didn't consider that. But that's an external warranty cost. That's a real. That was with one supplier I talked to last November. So here's an example of Costin, and we want to look at their example. Here we have June 2006, December 2006, June 2007, December 2007. So we sort of got 2 years here every month. Okay, so we've got 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. So is there some trend going on? And what are the different categories? Prevention. Remember, prevention, let me define again if you're not clear. Prevention is all about re-engineering, redesigning, designing how the machines are laid out, designing the product so you can minimise the complexity so you have less problems, or making more modular components that go into the product. Okay, working closely with the suppliers so they don't make mistakes when it goes into the product. That's what we mean by prevention costs. Appraisal costs, incoming inspections, final testing. Then internal failure costs. This is what happens when you do appraisal, right? You do final testing and you get, what happens? You get failures, and so those failures are internal failure costs. The value added that is in that unit that failed, okay, materials, labour and overhead that's in that unit, that is now cost because you now cannot sell it, okay. External failure is when it's in the customer's hands. It's too late, all right. So what you need to convince senior management is that, look, if we invest more in prevention and appraisal, we can minimise internal and external failure, okay. That's all we're trying to do, all right? And so the numbers here, we can look at those numbers and look at how the numbers have allocated between the 4 areas. We have 25%, 21%, 17, 36%. 36% is very high, right? That's very high. You want to minimise that. So how can we do that? Well, let's invest a little bit more in prevention. So let's invest 25% up to 34%. Let's increase by another 1/3 about. And notice external failure goes down to 29%. Let's invest a little bit more in prevention to 40%, and external failure goes down to 20%. Let's invest a little bit more, 44%, and we're down to 20. Okay? Over time, you need to develop the analytics where you start to see correlations or causality between investment in quality initiatives, in investment in appraisal, and the reduction in external failure. Okay? If you can get that linkage, then you can convince senior management to continue to support various initiatives that you have, because now you have financial backing. You see what I mean? How do you get their attention? Use financial figures. This is a financial statement, but it's not your typical profit and loss or balance sheet. I just leave this for you to read about whether the quality program has been successful, to go home and digest. Finally, how might you estimate opportunity costs of not implementing the quality improvement program? This is the scary part. This is where you try and scare management. Look, if you don't invest in this, external failures, if they only go up by 10%, here is the potential legal costs involved, okay? And it's not just legal costs, associated warranty claims. What about the cost of reduction in the reputation associated with the brand name? Well, that's very subjective, right? Okay, so now you're going into subjective territory, but it may be an argument that you have to go into in order to convince senior management to take action. Okay. All right, non-financial measures. Here is our first non-financial measure group, customer satisfaction. Okay. How many of you remember MTR? They surveyed all their customers. What was the number one thing they cared about? Ventilation. Do you agree with that? Hands up if you agree